back in October of 2025, a viral incident happened. So the story goes that a woman working with Doordash received an order to deliver food to some guy's house, and to leave the food at the door. But when she arrived, the door was wide open, and the guy was lying on his couch completely naked with his privates completely exposed. Seeing this, the girl pulls out her phone and records the man as a way to get evidence on what she claims was sexual assault. The girl posts this video on TikTok and it goes viral, with some agreeing that she was sexually assaulted, while others saying that she overreacted. But she made a critical error. By recording that video, she was also recording a sleeping, naked man in his own house. And this was very controversial. This led to Doordash then suspending her account because she was secretly recording a customer within his own home, and then posted it on the internet for the world to see. A pretty big violation of privacy and not the optics Doordash wants. This led to her crash out.
Hey guys, so Doordash just deactivated me 2 days after I reported my sexual assault. Hey guys, I just lost my job, and they won't tell me why. They're supposed to send an email immediately after deactivation providing you the reason why and a link to appeal, and they didn't. So I contacted support, and they made me sit on the phone with them for 50 minutes just to tell me that they can't tell me the reason why, and I have to just go ahead and appeal without knowing why. So my chances of getting my account back, they have my money in that account. I was working! I was literally working! And they deactivated me! This is related. They just punished me for posting about my sexual assault while DoorDashing. They just fired me! And the police are doing nothing! I lost my job! And that was my only way to make money!
Well, it turns out the police would do something after all, because she ended up being charged with unlawful surveillance for recording the man, and dissemination of an unlawful surveillance image for posting it online. And these are life-ruining charges, as both are felonies. She may have to spend up to 8 years in prison, and from my understanding, she might even have to register as a sex offender. The tables turned on her real quick. She went from victim of a crime to perpetrator of a crime. Now, the big question that usually follows this case is, was the door open when she arrived? Did she enter the house? How long did she linger around? Because if she was exposed to a man's junk when she was just trying to do her job, and just pulled out the phone as evidence, she would have a much stronger case. However, given the police have already investigated it, and determined that sexual assault did not happen, given the man was unconscious from heavy drinking, and the independent video has been collected by police, and she's still being prosecuted, means she probably did commit some sort of crime. Outside of the legal ramifications, another big question was, is she the victim here like she claims? Or is he the victim? Because even if she did break the law by recording him, she still was indecently exposed to. And in my personal opinion, they are both the victim to some extent. The woman was just trying to do her job, but ended up being forced to see a man's wee-wee. Meanwhile, the man decided to order DoorDash, but because he was blackout drunk, he ended up leaving the door open and his pants down, only to wake up and be accused of sexual assault and having nude images of himself circulating on the internet. You can probably better understand the man's situation if you swap the sexes. Imagine you are a male DoorDasher and you arrive to complete your delivery when you see a woman sleeping on her couch naked. What's the correct response? Well, it definitely would not be to take a video of her, because she's clearly in a vulnerable position. Blaming the drunk woman for indecent exposure in her own home could arguably be a case of victim blaming. And so I think both sides did wrong. The man, despite being drunk, did put himself in a position where a woman could see his stuff, and the woman recorded a drunk sleeping man in his own house and posted it on the internet for all to see. But what I find most interesting about this case is why she seems to jump to the conclusion that this was intentional sexual assault. The text she puts on screen in the original video says, "A man named Austin orders DoorDash, selects the option to have order left at door, sees his DoorDasher, me, has a female name, quote-unquote, falls asleep on the couch, with his pants and underwear to his ankles, and his front door wide open in 59-degree weather. So this is what I see when I have to leave the order." Now, she probably wrote this text almost immediately after the ordeal happened. So right after this encounter happened, her mind had already created this idea that the man conjured a whole scheme that allows him to force a female DoorDasher to see his privates. She even puts "falls asleep on the couch" in quotes, meaning she probably thought that he was not really sleeping, but rather just pretending. This is honestly kind of insane, because again, the investigation by law enforcement found that he was unconscious from heavy drinking, and nothing in the video suggests that he is awake. And yet her mind immediately goes to this being some sort of intentional ploy, rather than just an accident. So why? What could possibly make her think that someone would come up with all this just to expose themselves? Well, I think we actually get a hint from the on-screen text, that according to her, when the man saw a female name, that is when he decided to go through with this plan. Meaning that if the Dasher had a male name, the man would not want to expose himself. Instead, the man wanted to expose himself to a woman. So I think the origins of this reason as to why she thought the man was intentionally exposing himself lies in gender dynamics. See, growing up, girls are told a completely different thing as boys. As boys become men, they go from potential prey to potential predator, while as girls become women, society doubles down on the whole "do not trust strangers," especially strange men belief, particularly with a sexual aspect, such as how girls are told that men will do anything to get in your pants, do not walk alone at night, do not leave your drink or else it might get spiked, to carry a self-defense tool, to do first dates in public, and such. And while these are good risk minimization techniques, for all of them, there is an implication that the reason women have to take these precautions is because men will elsewise prey on them. So the common experience for adolescent boys developing is he begins to notice girls. To him, girls go from something strange with cooties to something he wants to impress and be around. Well, for girls, adolescence is often where they begin to notice that boys notice them. There is not really a male equivalent to this. Growing up as a boy, you never have to worry about people leering at you or wanting to touch you.
But I think it's a pretty common experience most women have where, you're a little girl and you notice that men, all kinds, all ages are staring at you and you're a child. It's absolutely the worst experience ever.
And I don't just mean that in the second sex way, and that we live in such a patriarchal society that men look at women, while women watch themselves being looked at. This disparity exists because of the conflicting experiences between men and women. The average man receives such little opposite-sex attention that it usually becomes a core memory when it does happen. Meanwhile, the average woman is bombarded with so much attention from men that it becomes a negative. An excerpt from a Guardian article I thought hits this point. Those early experiences of male sexual aggression are maybe one of the most reliable rites of passage for female children. It's more common than any other rite of passage that signals impending adulthood. More common than a bar mitzvah, or quinceañera, or sweet 16 party, or proms. By the time a girl reaches any of these milestones, she has likely already developed a skill set for navigating the unwanted attention of adult men, started to learn the delicate balance of signaling their own lack of interest, or of curtailing men's interest without escalating. Sometimes mothers will speak to their daughters about these incidents and how to diffuse them, but more often girls are told to understand the approach as flattering, or left to navigate them with little more than their own instincts and the commiseration of their similarly young and confused friends. And so from a young age, women are told to defend themselves from male predation, not even as a potential risk, but rather as an inevitability. What this leads to is women perceiving all men as potential predators. For instance, a similar thing happened when a woman got trapped in an elevator with a bunch of young boys. Here's the clip.
Hello?
Hey, we're stuck.
Okay, which school are you in?
Palmetto. Senior. High school.
Middle school.
You think this is fucking funny?
Yes.
It's not. That ass nobody's fucking laughing. You guys are fucking laughing when we're stuck in an elevator. So just shut up so I can fix this, okay? Like, I don't know any of you guys, and you guys are so fucking immature.
And yes, they are being immature, but what I find interesting is how a lot of women on the internet responded to this clip.
There's a video going around of a young high school girl trapped inside of an elevator with almost a dozen guys she does not know, with zero video surveillance inside of the elevator, okay? The only reason we have a little bit of footage of this incident is because one of the guys pulled out his own phone and started recording some of it, okay? You see, it's about like a bunch of 16 to 18-year-olds. There's about a dozen of them surrounding this one girl who's standing in the fucking middle.
These boys were basically just making the equivalent of 6-7 jokes, and you have people saying that they were basically threatening to rape her, and are an example of rape culture. These boys probably don't even know they are making the woman uncomfortable, since they are just probably out of middle school, and probably not aware of the way women view men with immense distrust. And so you have women accusing them of supporting rape culture just because they are ignorant of the fact that women are usually very uncomfortable around men, because they believe that if a man has an opportunity to sexually assault a woman, there is a good chance that he will do so. To women, it does not matter that the boys were just trying to engage in light-hearted humor, as the intention does not matter. What matters to women is that the boys were making her uncomfortable in a situation where they could have assaulted her. And so I think a similar thing happened with the Doordash girl. The man made the mistake of unintentionally exposing himself to a woman, and that therefore makes him a predator. The intention does not matter, as to her, she has to see a penis either way. And that's one of the core differences between the sexes. Men have to make sure they do not expose themselves to women, otherwise it's sexual harassment, as he made a woman see his bits. But a woman has to make sure no one sees her privates, because exposing herself puts her own self at risk. In other words, men have to make sure they are not victimizing women, while women have to make sure they are not victimizing themselves. For instance, think of what comes to mind when you think of flashers. When you think of a man just whipping it out, forcing people to see his dingling, that guy is a disgusting pervert, and rightfully so. But when a woman decides to let her girls out, suddenly she is wild and the whole thing just has a much more positive attribute. And so I think that is why the Doordash girl felt as if she was sexually assaulted. Even though the man was unconscious, to her it didn't matter that he was passed out. She interpreted the situation as just yet another incident of a man exposing himself to her and giving her unwanted sexual attention. Whether it was intentional or not does not matter. I mean, if sexual assault can be understood as having someone impose their sexuality on you without your consent, then intention does not matter. the man at the end of the day did force a woman to see his bits, and the girl probably felt as if she failed at the job she was conditioned from a girl to do, defend her sexuality. After all, if people can be accused of perpetrating rape culture for making jokes in the proximity of a woman, then exposing a woman to your naked body, even accidentally, will almost certainly feel like a form of sexual assault. But did she overreact to merely seeing a penis? Well, South Park did a nice bit on this.
What's the matter?
A penis! A penis! There! There it is!
The joke is that women have a pretty big aversion to just randomly stumbling across male genitalia. You can imagine it from her perspective. I can't wait to deliver this meal, and is that? A penis! In fact, speaking of South Park, I thought this clip was pretty relevant.
You ever notice that almost every time they show a guy's wiener, that guy's character is gay?
What do you mean?
Well, it's just that they have a lot of girls' boobs and vaginas and stuff, but most times they show a man's wiener, it's because that guy's in a love scene with another guy. You think it's because gay wieners are less threatening to women viewers?
I never watched Lord of the Rings, but looking it up, and yeah, most nudity is female. And I think Butters really hit the nail on the head. Women really do find penis threatening. And the point of this is not to say that women just need to accept male nudity and the presence of men as a natural thing, but rather the point of the video is trying to understand why people like the Doordash girl felt as if they were SA'd, when in a scenario where if the roles were reversed, we probably would feel more concerned for the unconscious woman rather than the delivery man. And I don't think I'm being obscenely speculatory about this, because these women will openly tell you that the issue is they are around men, and they themselves are women. And because women are conditioned from a young age to treat all men as potential predators, they do.